The autocorrect. I started keeping this digital diary 3 months ago. My psychologist said it would help me pour out my grief onto paper. My mother died 4 months ago, and the world around me simply fell apart. The diary was supposed to be my therapy, a way to anchor my reality. Today is just another Tuesday. Outside the window, a typical November, a gray drizzle. I felt drained, so I went to the kitchen and brewed the strongest coffee I could. I clearly remember that bitter aroma and the sound of the beans in the grinder. I sat down at my laptop, took a large first sip, and typed. 8:15 a.m., drinking bitter coffee, trying to focus. The rain outside is depressing. I glanced at my phone for a second, and when I looked back at the monitor, the sentence looked different. 8:15 a.m., drinking mint tea, trying to focus. The rain outside is depressing. I slowly turned my gaze to the mug. In the white ceramic was a pale golden liquid. A mint leaf floated at the bottom. In my mouth, I could still feel the sharp, burnt aftertaste of espresso. The bitterness was still there on my tongue. I took another sip, sweet herbs. The coffee flavor vanished instantly. I went to the kitchen and saw an open box of mint tea on the counter. The jar of coffee stood in the corner, sealed and covered in dust. In the afternoon, I went out for groceries. Near the entrance to my building, a massive SUV hit a puddle at high speed. I managed to leap aside. I clearly remember the relief that my coat remained dry. Back home, I opened my diary to write, "Some jerk in a Jeep splashed me from head to toe near the entrance. I feel terrible." I stood up and went to the hallway. My light coat hung on the hook, completely covered in streaks of orange mud. It was wet and cold to the touch. I began feverishly scrolling back through the diary. September, an entry about buying a dress. I remembered a blue one. The diary said, "Red dress." I peeked into the closet. A red dress hung there. October, an entry about a phone call. I remembered standing at her funeral 4 months ago. I remembered the smell of flowers and the cold earth. But in the diary, there was an entry from last Thursday. Mom and I talked all evening. She joked again about me working too much. I reached for my phone. In the recent calls list was a call. Mom, 1 hour ago. I pressed the number. "Hello, Sarah?" The voice was soft, slightly raspy. Her voice. "Did you forget to tell me something? By the way, how was your visit to the psychiatrist today? Those memory lapses of yours, did the doctor say they'd pass? Is the diary helping you distinguish fiction from reality?" I closed the laptop and didn't touch the keys for 2 weeks. But today, I opened the app again. It wasn't empty. There were entries for every day of my silence. The events generally matched what I had done, but some details were different. The diary described me having dinner at a cafe with Mark and Lisa. I remembered that evening, but in my memory, there were 4 of us. David was there too. I opened the gallery on my phone. In every photo from that evening, there were only 3 people. I scrolled through the pictures one by one. On one photo, at the very edge, a piece of a shoulder caught the frame. A green parka. David always wore one just like it. Or maybe it was just someone similar. I scrolled to the bottom of today's entry. A small gray button flickered there. Restore factory settings? I stared at it for a long time. I knew what lay behind that click. There was the blue dress, the taste of bitter coffee, and the cold earth of the cemetery. A message popped up on my phone. "Honey, don't forget to buy mint tea. You're running out. Love, Mom." I slowly closed the laptop lid. I went to the kitchen and poured myself some tea. Mint. I simply don't try to remember the taste of coffee anymore.